Hello, and welcome to the Audubon Monthly Meeting. My name is Bea Harrison, and my husband Jim and I were born and raised in Texas, and we've been birding for 40 years. And we recently went down there to visit friends and go birding, and I had so many beautiful pictures that I wanted to share with you the places that we like to go and some of the birds that we saw when we were down there and through the years. If you'll hold your questions till the end, Jim and I will answer the questions after the program. So I've got to turn off my okay here. So when you go to Texas, you're going to see a lot of variety of birds. Just there's such a variety there and in such abundance. And I just really think that if you have a chance, you really should try to go, because it's just a whole nother country down there. So one of the reasons that it's such a great place to bird is along the coast of Texas, which is where I'm talking about right now, is because of the flyways. Where I'm going to be talking about is mostly the central flyway. So in the spring and in the fall, when the birds are coming across from Mexico and Central America and Cuba and all those places to go to their nesting ground, they come right through Texas. And a lot of them fly right across the Gulf of Mexico, just, all the way across the Gulf of Mexico. And they can't stop. So even the little hummingbirds, the little ruby-throated hummingbirds that weigh about the same as a marshmallow, they can fly all the way across the Gulf of Mexico. And they don't ride on the back of geese, as your mama told you. But we're also close to the Mississippi flyway, and some of the birds in that flyway also wind up on the Texas coast. So it's, especially in spring, boy, my thing just goes by itself. Especially in spring, it's a great place. Jim and I got a chance to do some bird banding on the Texas coast a few springs. And one day we had what they call a fallout. A fallout is when the birds are coming across, they've got the wind, that they're using to fly with, and then sometimes the wind will shift and the birds will just have to land because they can't fly against the wind. And that day we're banding right along the coast there in the woods, and we went out to help with this banding project, and they said, we've got to close all the nets except for maybe one or two, because we're getting so many birds we can't keep up. So we did. We closed all the nets, and we had two open. And we went out there, and there was yellow and blue and red and brown and every color bird, just all in these nets. And it was all we could do to collect all those birds and get them back to the banding station and get them processed, because you don't want to keep them too long in a bag or a box. It was truly amazing. Oh boy, it just keeps jumping by itself. I guess it's my mouse. Okay, so these are some of the places that if you get a chance that you might want to visit. The first one I have up here is High Island. High Island is east of Galveston. It's not very far from Galveston Island. And it's not actually an island. It's a salt dome, an uplift covered with trees, but it's right near the Gulf and the bays, and there's a lot of marshes there. And it is a birding mecca, mostly in the spring. It's amazing. That's all I can say. Can be crowded though. But the story I like to tell people about High Island is I was there with a friend, and we were standing on a little bridge over a creek, but it had been really dry that summer. And we looked down, and there was a puddle. And we realized all the birds were coming to that puddle to bathe and get a drink. So we set up our telescope or a birding scope down to that puddle, and we stood there for hours watching, Baltimore Orioles, summer tanagers, vermilion flycatchers, all kind of warblers, and just thrushes, just everything you can imagine. And so when people would come down that bridge, we would stop them and say, "You've got to look at this," I'll never forget that. It was just amazing. Oh, did it change again? Oh, quit it. Okay, the next one on my list is Galveston Island. And Galveston Island, if you've never been there, it's a really fun town, a lot of stuff to do. They have a paved boardwalk along the Gulf there that you can walk on, and there's lots of good places where the birds hang out there any time of year. San Luis Pass is a place that I like, and it is a pass where Galveston Bay empties into the Gulf. So it's between Galveston Island and Brazoria County, where we're from. And just, it's a tremendous amount of water that goes through there. And there's sand there, and there's just all kinds of shorebirds, and it's just kind of a spectacular, powerful place to go. So if you're going from Galveston to Brazoria County, stop there. And I'm going to talk about Matagorda County, which is the other side of Brazoria County. And it is one of the places that we like to go and stay. There's lots of places to bird and lots of good places to stay there. We rented a Airbnb and hung out on the beach for a week, and it was in October, and the water was still so warm that I was swimming and surfing. It was wonderful. The next one is Quintana Sanctuary. That's south of Lake Jackson, Texas. It's very close to where we used to live, so it's kind of near and dear to our heart. We were kind of helped establish it. The group that maintains it is the Gulf Coast Bird Observatory in Lake Jackson. And it's like a little mini high island. It's only like a city block full of trees. And they have it set up with like water features and bird feeders and a tower you can climb up on and actually see out over the Gulf. So it's a really special place to go. Port Aransas, if I had just one place to go.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know what that is. It's in Zoomland. Port Aransas is one of the places that I would just go there if I couldn't go anywhere else. Corpus Christi, of course, you've probably heard of Corpus Christi. It's a big town right on the Gulf, and it's wonderful. Lots of things to do, lots of places to get good seafood, and lots of great places to bird. Padre Island National Seashore is there, and that's a really special place. One of the reasons you want to go to Texas is to check out the shorebirds. Lots of birds nest on the Texas coast. There's barrier islands all along the coast. And we were lucky enough to get to go out to some of those barrier islands and see all the nesting birds. It's just pelicans and gulls and all kind of ibis and just, I don't know, just all kinds of birds there, skimmers and ibis and oyster catchers. So I want to tell you about the 5 places that I picked out as our favorite places. The San Bernardino National Wildlife Refuge. Now, I love Turnbull, and it's a wonderful place. No offense, Lisa. But you can go out to Turnbull and see 10 species in, a couple hours. You go to San Bernardino National Wildlife any day of the year and get 50 species in an hour. It's incredible. Plus there's alligators. The mouth of the Colorado River. That's where the Colorado River empties into the Gulf at Matagorda, the town of Matagorda. Why does it keep doing that, Jenny? No, I don't. Okay. Quintana that I already talked about a little bit. Brazos Bend State Park that I haven't mentioned. Brazos Bend is between Houston and the Gulf. And it's not, of course, it's not right on the coast, but it's in this wooded area, and it's just a fantastic place to go birding. And the last I have is Leonabelle Turnbull Birding Sanctuary in Port Aransas. And it's a really special place. So here is the map that I wanted to show you, the first map. So you could see Brazos Bend State Park. I don't know if I can point with this or not. Probably not because I turned it off. Hey, that works. Probably not for Zoom land though. So Brazos Bend State Park is located just southwest of Houston. If you flew into Houston, that'd be a good place to go on your way to see these other wonderful places. They have it set up for camping. You can camp in a tent, bring your RV. They have cabins. And the way it's set up is there's levees and canals because I guess it was private property before and they had set these up. But you can walk down these levees and the birds are right there next to you, and alligators. So, alligators aren't going to bother you. Just keep a respectful distance. Oh, did it change again? So, one time Jim and I were there, we got to see this spectacular event where there was two giant alligators on the other side of the canal from us, so we were safe, that they were attacking each other. And they fought and they twisted and turned, and finally one of them killed the other one. It was something to see. But mainly we go there to see the birds. So you walk along these levees, and there's just waterfowl there, and all of these passerines in the trees. They're really used to people, so you can get fantastic photography there. It's set in a huge wooded area on the side of the Brazos River, and it's marshy, and it's just a typical East Texas kind of habitat. Lots of spring migrants go through there, and lots of birds just nest there. Oh, stop it. I'm going to have to get somebody up here to stop it. One time I saw, or lots of times I've seen tons of black vultures there. They just hang out in the tree. So that's really cool to see too. Okay, the next place is Quintana Neotropical Bird Sanctuary. And like I said, it was set up by the Gulf Coast Bird Observatory in Lake Jackson. And Jim and I were there at the grassroots of setting up the bird observatory, so we know all the people there. And this is a place that you don't want to miss if you're down in that part of the country. It's like I say, it's another like a mini high island. There's just a huge motte of trees on this city block, and there's always tons of photographers there. You can get wonderful pictures. And every year they have a big sit there. What a big sit is, if you don't know, is you go to some place and you can stay within a certain area and you stay there all day long and see how many birds you can get without going out of that area. So we would go, and that's a group of our friends that we used to hang out there, all the birding community. And we'd go there every year and see how many hundreds of birds we could count in one day. And it's also close to the beach, so when you're at the sanctuary, you can just drive a little ways and get down to the beach and see all kind of shorebirds, snowy plovers, and semi-palmated plovers, and just all kinds of stuff. But you're probably wondering about this picture over here. Well, one day we were there at a big sit, and there's this cacophony of sounds around you. It's just all the birds, especially grackles, are just chipping in and just making all this sound. It's just deafening. Well, all of a sudden, everything got quiet. And all the birders looked at each other like, what is going on? And we looked, and the grackles had turned with their heads down and their tails up, and they were looking at the ground under the trees. And there was a big old diamondback rattlesnake eating a red-winged blackbird. So there's, like I say, all these people with cameras with lenses that long, and everybody's taking pictures. And it was so cool. But it was before cell phones. And so I wanted to call my friend in Austin and tell her about it. But I had to wait till I got home and could use my phone. And I called her up, and oh, you'll never forget, you'll never believe what I saw today. And she said, oh, I already heard about it. I couldn't believe it had gone through the birding community that fast. On the other hand, when you go to Texas and go birding, you're going to be confronted with a lot of industry, because all along the Texas coast, there's LNG plants, there's chemical plants, petroleum plants. So don't be shocked, especially when you're at Quintana. There's a big old LNG plant right across the street, and it looks about like that. So, you just have to know that it's there. It's part of our lives. And so I just didn't want you to think, oh, it's a paradise, because there are some drawbacks. So this is also my favorite place to go birding in Texas, the San Bernardino National Wildlife Refuge. This was only about a mile or two from our house, where we lived for about 10 years. It's where we raised our son, and not at the refuge, but at our house that was close to the refuge. Practically raised him out there. So we would go out there, and there's a driving loop. It's about 2 miles, and you can drive around that loop. And like I said before, you can get 100 species easily, maybe 50. But there's you drive around this loop, and it's got water on both sides. And there's, of course, alligators in there that you can look at. And that's what most people go out there to look at, the alligators, but not us. But there's all kinds of water birds and waterfowl, and there's trees. So you get, I just remember the eastern kingbirds in the spring would just line the fences and be up in the trees, just lots of them, and just all kinds of beautiful, colorful warblers and just anything you can imagine. There's also a trail there called Bobcat Woods Trail that runs along a creek. Lots of beautiful white-eyed vireos are very common there, northern cardinals, any time of year. And the boardwalk goes out to an open area with the tower that you can get up on and use a telescope, and it's a really cool place. Rails all the time. But one day we were at San Bernard Refuge leading a tour, and we were on a school bus. There's a bunch of people on the bus, and we looked up ahead, and there was an American bittern standing in the middle of the road with his head up. That's what they do. They stand there with their nose in the air, and they sway with the grass, And he was doing that like he thought he was hidden. So everybody got to see him very well. It was really cool. Sorry about this, folks. Okay, here's my next map. So we were at San Bernard National Wildlife Refuge up here. And the next place we're going to go is uh, is Matagorda, and underneath there it says Bay City, which I don't know how to get rid of that box. So we're going to go that way. There's Bay City, and then Matagorda. Then we're going to go on down to to Port Aransas. But there's a lot of little communities all along the coast there that has good birding and wonderful beaches. For instance, Port O'Connor, that's where our friends Bridget and Alan live, that I'm going to tell you about in a little while. Rockport is a little community that is really trying to attract birders there, so they have a lot of walking trails with bird feeders and stuff like that. But it's in September, the ruby-throated hummingbirds come through there in the thousands. So they have a hummingbird festival every September that's well worth going to. It's amazing. I have a picture of that in a minute. But what I was going to say about Bay City, that's hidden right there. Bay City is right on the Colorado River, and is the nature club there has set up a birding sanctuary. And if you're going through there, you might as well stop. It's great. It's a great bunch of ladies set that up. I guess there were some men involved, but mostly ladies. Oh, it changed by itself. So that's what the hummingbirds look like in the September, anywhere along the coast, but especially Rockport for some reason. So Matagorda. Um, Matagorda, like I say, it's a small town, a coastal town, just a typical kind of coastal town with houses all up on pilings, and when you get there, you drive along the Colorado River, and the river is on one side of you, and there's like ditches on the other side, and all in those ditches are all kinds of wading birds. And you could just about see anything there. It's really cool. And one year at Christmas, we saw a long-tailed duck there, which is a bird that you normally see off in the Pacific or somewhere. It was pretty cool. There's lots of places that you can rent there, like Airbnbs and cabins. There's places to camp. They're set up for birders. They have a visitor center for birders. There are places on the beach that are cordoned off just for birds to rest or to nest. And there's a pier you can walk out on. You can go to the dunes, which are just beautiful. And of course, the beach. It's not too crowded there. I really like it. So the next place I want to talk about is the Leonabelle Turnbull Birding Center in Port Aransas. This place was set up only maybe 30 years ago. And Leonabelle was a lady there that advocated for conservation and worked to get this refuge set up. It's not very big, but it's great. It's kind of like going to Reardon if they had boardwalks out over the water, because you walk out of the water and there's a tower, and when you're walking over the water, on both sides of you, you can look down, and right below you are all kinds of beautiful waterfowl, ibis and egrets and herons, and I'm trying to think of what else, gallinules, avocets, and stilts, very common there. And this is a picture of that's Jim, that's my friend Alan and my friend Bridget that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So here we are. We were there last spring, and there was a flamingo out there, an American flamingo. And I think it was an escapee from a zoo or something, but still, it was so cool. So there's Bridget, and she's standing on the boardwalk, and you see there's a I think it's a tricolored heron, but y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. And it's just right there. They're either so tired from coming in from migration, or they just are used to people. I don't know. But one year we were out there, and all of these indigo buntings came in, and one what landed by my shoe. I was just like, oh my God. It was just like, wow. So the wooded the area there can be full of warblers and all kinds of sparrows. It's just amazing what you can see. Now, I wanted to tell you about Bridget and Alan. Bridget and Alan live on the Texas coast at Port O'Connor, and they're involved with the San Antonio Bay Partnership. And that's an organization that I'm sure you've never heard of, but they do so much good work down there. In the winter, the sea turtles can get too cold in the bay. And when it gets below a certain temperature, Bridget puts out an alert. She says, okay, everybody, we need to watch for sea turtles because they're going to be washing up on the beach. They're going to be dying. And so she's got all this, I don't know how many people with boats that go out and pick up the sea turtles or drive along the beach and pick up sea turtles. And they take them to the sea turtle rescue place, and they warm them up and feed them and get them healthy again, and then they release them back into the Gulf. If it wasn't for Bridget, I don't know how many sea turtles would be lost. They pick up hundreds of them. Did it leave again? Oh no. Yeah. So, um, I've lost my train of thought. So another thing they do is they pick up old crab traps. Now here they call them crab pots, but in Texas they call them crab traps, and they're wire cages that people put in the bays or the rivers or whatever to catch crabs. And sometimes people abandon them. Sometimes they can't find them when they go back for them, whatever. But there's hundreds of them that just get abandoned, and they're traps for wildlife. So Alan and all his buddies go out with their boats, probably the same people picking up the sea turtles, and they bring in all those old crab traps and get rid of them to save just hundreds and hundreds of fish and whatever else could get caught in there, crabs and stuff. It's just, I just can't say enough about it. And they also pick up trash, and they have all these trash cleanups. Because of the currents down on the Texas coast, everything gets washed up on the beach. And so they have all of these different times when they organize and pick up trash just all along the Texas coast. It's just incredible. Okay. So Texas is a great place to go. The further south you go, the more Mexican birds you might pick up, like green jays and kiskadees. You could see whooping cranes at Aransas National Wildlife Refuge, but other places too along the Texas coast. And birders are welcome. So Texas is one of the best states in the country to see an impressive diversity of birds. 677 species have been documented there. 45% of that is migrants going through. I hope you get a chance to visit Texas for yourselves. And the fishing's not half bad either. Okay, I have this list here that I made up with all the websites for all the different places I talked about. Madonna has, I printed 10 of them, but if you can just take a picture with your phone, you can do that, and then you'll have all of this information. And now I'm going to answer questions if you have any questions. Lisa has a question. If I can't answer it, Jim said he would answer it. Hello, Zoom land.
I was curious to know if you had to pick one time of year to go there, if you'll take me, when that would be.
I'd say mid-April to early May.
Thank you.
Wanda had a question. When are we leading a trip there? Maybe later. You don't have any plans right now?
Would be great. Yeah, and we welcome any questions from the Zoom audience as well.
How about the mosquitoes in April?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
The question was, how about mosquitoes in April?
Bring some
Okay,
mosquito repellent.
So what's a respectful distance from an alligator?
Oh, from me to Madonna.
I was wondering when you guys lived down there, did Texas have the great birding maps? Because I think those started in Texas. Now every state, including Washington, has them, but did they have them when you lived there, or were they just getting developed?
They had the Great Texas Birding Trail.
Yeah.
They had those maps probably since the early 90s. Yeah.
Birding Classic, which is a 5-day birding contest where they go down the whole Texas coast, see how many species they can get. Or you can, they used to do how many species you get a day. And so that started out, Bea and I actually did it the first year.
You should talk into the mic, Jim, so the Zoom people can hear you.
So I don't remember when they started that, but the first year Bea and I were involved with it, and there was just maybe 10 people. Last year they had 2,000 people in that thing. Fran, were you ever involved in that when you were down there? Yeah.
The 7 year. That about killed me.
Bird counts down there are a serious item because usually somewhere along the Texas coast, usually at Mad Island, on the nation conservancy each property, that they have the largest number of birds in the whole country. And so it's very competitive. Their bird counts down there, you'll get a couple of hundred people, and usually you have somebody that'll, cater the dinner and those kinds of things for it. But yeah, there's some serious birders down there. People come from all over the world to bird the Texas coast. And so we were down there, and Bea and I were invited to what were we birding at night, Bea? I mean, what were we capturing at night?
Black rails.
Black rails, yeah, which are really a rare bird. And so we were invited by Fish and Game to capture the black rails that night, and so the next morning we were volunteering out there at Quintana, and this guy came over, and he was from England, and he said, "This is my 3rd time to the Texas coast, and I want to see the black rails." And I'm like, I didn't know what to tell him. He couldn't go where we went to see the black rails at that refuge. But anyway, there's a lot of people come to the Texas coast, and for good reason.
In chat. Go ahead.
Okay. What color?
Blue.
Okay, I've got a couple of chat questions. The first one is, I think you've already answered about what seasons are best to see birds in Texas.
Well, not only spring is good in Texas. I wouldn't go in the summer unless you just happen to be down there or something because it's so blazing hot. But winter There's thousands and thousands of geese, sandhill cranes, you name it. It's a spectacular place to go in the wintertime. And the fall is good, you know. So anytime except summer. I wouldn't go in summer because the mosquitoes are really bad.
Okay, the next question is, how is the recovery at Leonabelle Turnbull post the hurricane and post the very cold snap back in 2021-ish?
Apparently they have recovered fine. I'm not even sure Leonabelle was hit that hard, because when we were there, it looked just the same as it did before. Rockport, on the other hand, was just wiped out, and they had to totally rebuild the town. Okay.
And then
you wanna
one
get the-
last chat question, ask Bea to talk about the Mad Island CBC.
Well, Jim just talked about the Mad Island CBC, the Christmas bird count, but Mad Island is a nature conservancy preserve that we're lucky enough to be able to go to because we are former employees of the Nature Conservancy and we're friends with all those people. And their CBC has probably over 100 participants. And the guy that runs it, his name is Brent Artigo. He was with Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, and he knew all the landowners, and he would go out and personally ask them if we could go on their land. So every acre of land in that county or that circle was open to us. And so it was just very successful for many reasons and a lot of fun. Like Jim said, the countdown dinner is everybody would get together afterward and they would be, 150 people in a room. It's all catered barbecue, and Brent Artigo would get up and have a slide presentation, and he would go down the bird list and he would say, okay, Canada goose, and everybody would go, yes, or and he'd go through the whole list, and everybody is so excited to get to the bird that they saw. And then at the end, it'd be like, okay, what else did you see that's not on the list? And there's always like 10 or 20 things that are like coming up from Mexico or something that aren't supposed to be there. So it's a very exciting, fun time. Okay, here's a question here.
Well, and state court, Harvey estimated the boardwalk at Turnbull.
Oh, it did.
It's been
Oh,
rebuilt.
Harvey, yeah.
I like the old one better because it was lower.
Okay. He said that Hurricane Harvey, what year was that? I don't know. It was the one that flooded Houston so bad and washed away so many houses and stuff all over Houston. And it hit Rockport really bad, yeah. But he said that it's been rebuilt since then. Okay, I didn't know that.
They did it in 2 different states. They built one, you go down and then turn the left across from the treatment plant, went on
Mhm.
down, and then last year, or year before last, they rebuilt the one that went out.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, he said there's 2 different boardwalks there, one that goes across the bay and then one that kind of goes on the edge.
They go around Charlie's pasture.
Right. Oh, that's right. Around the pasture.
They actually had whoopers in Charlie's pasture here last 2 years.
Oh, there's been hooping cranes there in the winter. In what time of year? In February? Right. Right. Cool. Yeah, that would be good to see. Go down there in February. Okay, anything else?
Very good. Thank you, Bea.
Welcome.